Hey, greetings, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory, aka your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher. A friend of mine sent me a really nice vid. It's called Lupe Fiasco and Obama a Terrorist. And it was an interview that he did. And it started with a quote. Rapper Lupe Fiasco said, "My fight against terrorism, to me, the biggest terrorist is Obama in the United States of America. I'm trying to fight terrorism that's causing the other forms of terrorism." So he starts off on this interview and he talked about how the president of the United States is a terrorist. And one of the things he pointed out was that many foreign policies that are active in different nations are affecting how those nations view the United States, and then of course inevitably how they will treat the United States and how they react to said foreign policies. Now it was interesting that he said this because Pat Buchanan, and I'm not a fan of his, but there was something that he said where he basically said terrorism is the price of empire. So when I heard that, here was this white Christian male basically saying, hey, the United States is an empire and it has stakes and interest throughout many nations of the world. And I'm sure that when the United States goes to another country, they're not always keeping the American public abreast of what they do in these other nations. I once heard a guy from Ghana share with me that there were these gold miners basically mining gold in Ghana, and the company was owned by the Bush family. And of course, there were a lot of unfair things this gold mining company was doing to the native and indigenous peoples of that particular land and that particular nation. But of course, we as Americans do, and I'll admit this, and this isn't me trying to blast America because I recognize that I have been born and bred on American soil, and that I've enjoyed many of its freedoms and its opportunities. But I do recognize that here in these United States, that number one, we live a privileged life, even from a man living in the inner city all the way to a man that lives in the most gated communities. We live a privileged existence. We don't have to go out in the streets and worry. Well, you know what? Let me take that back actually, because the people in certain ghettos and inner cities may have to worry about where their next meal comes from, and they may have to worry about getting killed in the streets. Right now, here in Missouri, in St. Louis, Missouri, the north side is the crime statistics on the north side are just wow. And it got so bad that police don't really even go into the north side to police the area. Police actually, they even at one point were talking about the Missouri National Guard standing guard over the the north side, trying to police the north side because the police couldn't handle it. Well, anyway, as I was saying, in America, for the most part, I can go down to the grocery store and buy food. In America, I can, for the most part, practice any religion I want to. In America, I don't have another government imposing their will upon our nation, or some soldier with a gun in my face because he's been taught that I'm the monster and the enemy. I may have to worry about that with a law enforcement officer, but that's a different story. So another thing that Lupe touched on in this video was that we should have responsibility for others. Like, we seem to be a very selfish type of people. Like, oh, I got mine, you better go ahead and get yours, instead of like being involved with people. Like, I think social involvement is truly a good thing. Just like with all the social networking sites, it's kind of neat that we can commune with each other and bounce ideas off of each other. And maybe something I post on Twitter or something here on YouTube, I can literally get inspired by that. Like, let's say you post a YouTube video 6 years ago. Whatever ideas are generated in that video, or now I see that and I get inspired by that, and maybe it touches something within me. So that is the genius of social networking sites, such as Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, Twitter, all of that. Lupe also touched on another thing, which I was like, dang. He said voting is meaningless. And there's something that I've mentioned in the previous videos, that we don't really elect our officials, we select them. And it seems that no matter who I choose, it isn't like I choose who I want to choose. It's like, here's your pick. Vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry. Now, is that truly voting, and is that truly a free election, or is that just, hey, these are the guys that passed through the rigorous process, so now this is what you can pick from. Well, what if I don't agree with any of them? Where does that leave me? But I do like the fact that he does talk about that, that that we don't know what we as American citizens don't know what foreign policies are being put on people of other nations, which make them go, I'm gonna go blow somebody up. We don't know that. What we see is, this guy shot at us. Let's go use our big mighty military to crush him. And we don't know that maybe the United States might have started it first. And I know there are going to be some out here who say he hates America. America, love it or leave it. Well, that's not really what I'm doing. I'm saying, as a person who was born and bred on American soil, as someone who is the descendant of slaves in this nation that helped build this nation and make this nation great, I speak to the land. It's like, the old saying, game recognize game. It's like, hey, I recognize you. I know you. I know what game you're coming with. So I'm really saying that I think here in America, we have the right to criticize our officials. We have the right to criticize what goes on in our country, both politically and socially, and even economically. And we have the right to try to affect some type of change. Well, that's really my 2 cents on the Lupe Fiasco video. I think Lupe is an insightful guy. And I'll be honest with you that I've had a lot of misconceptions about rap and hip hop over the years, and there are guys like Lupe and, heck, even Kanye, that make me rethink my positions on hip hop as an art form. Like I say, I respect it as an art form, though it still has a lot of negative stereotypes in my mind to overcome. So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Peace.